What's up, investors? It's the Russian dude. Happy holidays. Recently, a very extraordinary thing happened. Certain schools and universities in Russia have displayed unusual lists of forbidden words, sparking confusion and curiosity among students. Words as ridiculous as sigma, skibidi, pdd or tumba yumba, and also as common as peach, sorrel, Big Mac, Nike, Adidas, Shell, Donkey, and Bolt. I can see a reason behind some, but others are outrageously random. Anyways, simultaneously, many schools have also begun installing memorial stands to honor those lost in the ongoing conflict in Ukraine, prompting painful reflections on the cost of war. This includes the stand with the lost fathers of those students, as well as those who once graduated from the school and then signed a contract to fight in Ukraine. Neither of them ever came back. And for obvious reasons, some stands were left with empty slots for those who will die in Ukraine in the future, being simultaneously a grim reminder for every schoolboy that he or his father can become the next portrait, and a subtle mockery from the local administration, saying that more of you will die. Very classic Russian school experience during the times of Putin's war, if you ask me. And it was not the only school that did it. Thousands of schools across Russia do it, with dozens of portraits being hung there every month. Just simple math suggests that unrecoverable losses reach tens of thousands at this point, and this is only based on these school stands alone. How many more go unreported or claimed as missing in action? And guess what? A part of Putin's team, Pavel Gubaryov, a self-proclaimed official of the Donetsk People's Republic, indirectly confirmed that the total number of Russian losses, both killed and injured in fact, are close to 600,000. It looks like that we have a situation where Putin can no longer contain the spread of the information, and the real numbers finally started seeping through the cracks of wall of censorship. I want to explore in more details this new phenomena of prohibited words in Russian schools, because at first glance it might seem like this action has zero sense. In various schools across entire Russia, students, teachers and administrators found new list of banned words which were hung on classroom boards as if imposed by some anonymous authority. At the Voronezh Lyceum, for example, words like sorrel, mutually, tumba yumba and red mullet were reportedly disallowed. In a Murmansk gymnasium, where there was a list of 120 forbidden words, including everyday terms such as guitar, cringe, woman, man, TikTok, Adidas, Godzilla, algebra, mom, dad, and even the name of the city itself, Murmansk. Feel free to pause the video and read yourself some more ridiculous words from this list. I mean, how do you even study in a Murmansk school if you cannot say word Murmansk without facing the expulsion or maybe risking your father being forced into the army for somehow discrediting the Russian army? These bizarre prohibitions initially bamboozled many, giving rise to theories about ultra-conservative guidelines or state censorship. But as details emerged, it became evident that these lists were just a prank by students themselves. However, this stunt resonates with a different reality. The atmosphere of prohibitions and overreach within educational settings has reached absurd levels. Young people, noticing the government's multiple initiatives for imposing new rules and restrictions, have responded in a similar but funny way. Humor is one of the most well-known coping mechanisms during tough times, and this is exactly what these students did. By compiling and distributing these lists, they highlight an environment where free expression is prohibited and official mandates sometimes go unquestioned. Even though the banned words are merely a student joke, the practice echoes larger trends of limiting the freedom of speech. In this context, it became a testament to the creativity and resilience of students who draw attention to the growing sense of caution, even fear, surrounding expressing one's concerns in their own schools. The problem is that the regime will not go easy on them, despite them being kids, if the situation gains huge momentum and reaches Kremlin. But they should not fear. Sometimes big things start unexpectedly, seemingly out of nowhere. That's the biggest weakness of the regime. It just portrays fear on people, that no one is safe from Putin's grasp. But as history proved with multiple dictatorships in the past, it is never the case. While some school boards have become platforms for ironic word-banning lists, others serve as entirely different, more dire function. All across Russia, memorial stands are being installed to honor fathers, brothers, and classmates who are currently on the front lines in Ukraine, or who have been lost in combat. One such stand in a regional school carried 26 portraits with a few spaces left empty, implying that more names and photographs might soon follow. Several of the portraits already have black mourning ribbons, revealing the harsh reality of rising casualties. Similar boards have appeared in Murmansk, Chelyabinsk, and beyond. For example, in school number 117 in the town of Snyazhinsk, Chelyabinsk region, a memorial stand commemorates graduates who have died over several decades in conflicts ranging from Afghanistan to Chechnya. Only 7 young men lost their lives in these earlier wars, while 15 died in the current invasion of Ukraine. 7 within several decades versus 15 in just under 3 years. I wonder if Putin still thinks that his special military operation goes in accordance with the plan. The rapid accumulation of such post-mortem portraits bring home the dark reality of this invasion. These displays, intended to celebrate heroism, also reveal the accelerating pace of losses, forcing difficult questions about the purpose and continuation of hostilities to arise. For many parents, teachers, and students, the sight of these boards is a collective expression of grief and a stark reminder of the mounting cost of war at the same time. And believe me, unfortunately, I do have couple examples myself. When the war directly affects you, when somebody you knew, whether a friend or even worse a relative, dies in Ukraine, this is when you stop thinking about it as some distant conflict. It came right at your doorstep. Somebody you once knew is no longer here. And it changes dramatically the perspective how you will see the war moving forward. Official information on Russia's casualties in Ukraine remains scarce and inconsistent. According to the Ministry of Defense, the last formal announcement on the number of losses came on September 21, 2022, the very day when the mobilization, the partial one, was declared. Then Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu stated that just under 6,000 personnel had been killed. Just for comparison reasons, Ukrainian General Staff counted 55,110 at the very same day. This includes both injured and eliminated. While this number, I personally say, is also extremely inflated, the real number lies somewhere in between, most likely closer to the Ukrainian side. Speaking about the Russian statistics, even if such a figure was accurate at the time, it would still signify a sweeping loss of life for numerous small towns and villages across the entire country. After all, remember that at first the regime was solely focusing on these distant regions. So losing more than 50,000 of men from these lands would most certainly mean that almost every single small settlement had at least one family who lost their father, son, or husband. That's why saying that the official losses of under 66,000 is simply showing the utmost disrespect to these families. Even pro-war Russian commentators noted that the numbers offered by high-ranking officials are often way different from field reports or external data. A journalistic outlet, Mediazona, has taken on the somber task of gathering information about the fallen from the open sources, including official lists, posts on social media, and public memorials, such as previously mentioned school boards. Back in September 22, their researchers have identified more than 8,000 soldiers confirmed killed, not including the injured and missing soldiers. But they rush to add that their list is almost certainly incomplete. At the moment of recording this video, Mediazona counted 84,761 confirmed eliminations, and much more of them, those who are missing or injured, are not included in this list. In modern warfare, the ratio of wounded to killed is somewhere in between 4:1 to even 10:1 and more. So according to this pretty simple math, we might calculate that the total number of Russian losses as of the end of December 24 stands at approximately 300 to 800,000. I know that this range is extremely big and inaccurate, but when we compare it with the data from Ukrainian side that mentions Russian losses as of December 23rd standing at 776,090, we can clearly see that the ratio is leaning heavily towards 10:1. And don't forget that many names might remain hidden from public records, either because they were not reported or classified as missing, or came from remote areas where little press coverage is available, or simply because the family decided to keep the mourning to themselves and not write a necrologue on the social media. This gap in information extends to volunteers, conscripts, and contracted soldiers as well. Just if there was at least somebody from Putin's administration who can tell us a real number. Wait a second. There is one. Pavel Gubaryov, a self-proclaimed official of the Donetsk People's Republic and now a member of a volunteer formation, either accidentally or on purpose, repeated Donald Trump's unverified claims of 600,000 Russian casualties, combining the killed and wounded. While such numbers cannot be confirmed, they definitely give us a much closer to the real numbers range. Assuming Ukrainians exaggerated their number of 776,000, but the number of 600,000 being confirmed by someone who accepts Putin's ideology, I think it is relatively safe to say that the actual number stands in between 600,000 and 700,000 people. I now ask the very same question. Does Putin think that his special military operation goes in accordance with the plan? As debate continues over the real scale of human loss, many Russians struggle with the broader consequences of the war. The ongoing conflict has compounded existing demographic challenges, with the nation already experiencing a declining birth rate before hostilities broke out. Hundreds of thousands have chosen exile or temporary relocation to avoid mobilization, leading some analysts to question whether Russia, long plagued by labor shortages, can bear such a demographic blow. The war itself has become detached from its original justifications, which range from countering an alleged NATO threat to protecting populations in Donbas region. Observers now know that official narratives frequently shift, leading many to wonder if the costs, human, economic, and moral, can ever be justified. Historical parallels offer a relatively similar story. For the United States, for example, the Vietnam War was once stated as necessary to contain the spread of communism. Yet, that rationale slowly but surely crumbled during a prolonged and unpopular conflict. Ultimately, American forces withdrew, leaving behind countless dead and wounded, along with a deep societal rift at home. And even though the narrative was that if communism prevails in Vietnam, sooner or later it will spread through the entire world, including America itself. Well, nothing like this ever happened. The politicians turn out to be liars. What a surprise. Russia now faces the same outcome, most likely, with the only difference is that Putin is ready to go much further than American presidents of Vietnam War combined, in order not to acknowledge his mistakes. If millions more need to perish and leave the country, so be it. So it is still very hard to believe that Russians do not see who is the real enemy here. Ukrainians, who are fighting on their own land and protecting their own country, or Putin, who grinds Russian men in these mid assaults. Well, there you have it. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe to my channel for more videos like this. If you wish to support my work, there are links down below. Happy holidays, thanks so much for watching, see you tomorrow.
We won't succumb to their tricks, the facade they try to sell. Their twisted words and feeble claims on us all they cannot quell. We see through their lies, their feeble attempts to sway. We do not believe in ridiculous Russian propaganda.